name is Buki Akawa from Kingdom Wealth Women's Network. I'm here today with an amazing lady, Waynett Peters. Here's my guest today, and she was one of our speakers at the last Kingdom Wealth Women's Network in February, and she has really agreed to just share a little bit of her testimony so those that weren't able to attend can just hear a little peek about the journey that she's been through. I won't say much, but I just wanted to begin and ask, just to tell the audience a bit more about who you are and what you do now.
Okay, thank you. What an honor to be here today. Hello audience, my name is Lady Waynett Peters, and at the moment I run a business in therapeutical services in a day spa in Highbury in Islington. I mentor, I coach, I'm a mum, I'm a grandma, I'm a friend, a sister. Here to say, here's my story.
Wow, and that's amazing, everything she said, but when I first heard her story, I was really encouraged and inspired really about the journey that she has been on, and so I just wanted Lady Waynett to tell us more about where you, I guess, where you started from, what's your journey, what's the story, the summary of your story, I guess, where you started from and how you got to where you are today.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
The summary of my story is I was born as a last child, and very well, and had everything that I ever needed as a child growing up. I became a business analyst myself for IT systems and a quality management systems auditor. I also had an entrepreneurial mind and skills from a very young age, so I acquired a lot of businesses from a young age. From about 18, I had my first business as a printing business. I went on to have catering trailers there to do the big festivals. I've had an events management company, properties, and a number of other different things I've been able to acquire by the grace of God.
The grace of God, yeah. Wow, and I think there was a part in your journey that things didn't go according to plan, and some things went a little bit, well, I say a little bit rocky, but rocky, really rocky. Tell us a bit more about that.
So it all started off when my mum passed away. I think I was drawn in a lot of grief and sorrow and missed my number one fan, my highest promoter, the one that motivated me every morning and helped me to pray and helped me to stand, and the woman that I was so proud to achieve everything that I did. Includes my father, my family, but there's always that one special person that you have that is the most dearest. And when she passed away, I found it very hard to be able to cope with life, as per se, without her, and to live on without her. I started to make wrong decisions. I started to have wrong friends, and as a result, I invested my time wrongly. I invested my money unwisely, and I ended up losing everything that I had, completely to being homeless, penniless, no money, no nothing. And for the first time, I found myself poor.
Wow. So from, I guess, having huge success, should I say, and then obviously through your personal journeys and decisions, it didn't, kind of went downhill, to say the least, really. So what happened from there? When you found yourself in this position and homeless, what next? What happened?
I had moved out into the country life of Bedfordshire, so I came back to London.
Okay.
I came back to London to start again, and initially I spent 2 years just volunteering in a church, just giving back my time and just wanting to understand what had gone wrong in my life, and wanting to know why everything could drastically go so wrong and just change overnight. I wanted to refine me and what my purpose on earth was. What was my true destiny? Why was I born? Why was I here? What was I here to do? And most importantly, how could I gain myself back without losing myself again? And so I spent that 2 years in church, serving the church, serving others, understanding the everyday to-day problems that everyone comes with and cries and what others were going through. After that, I went into come to market and literally started from afresh, where I was working on the market, and people used to say, that's a crazy idea, you're a consultant, and I would say, yeah, but I want to find myself. within that journey, I found that God could do more than I could ever do. God could do more than my experience could have done, my qualifications could have done. God could really propel me to a new me that I never knew existed. But I have to give credibility in the fact that I found some new friends. When I was in Camden Market, I used to sit by the canal. And when I used to sit by the canal, I used to sit there with the homeless, the drunk people, alcohol anonymous friends, and the mentally challenged. I became their friend and they became my best friend. And they really helped me. Because as I listened to their different stories where they had been and realized some of them had acquired more than I'd ever dreamt of. Some of them had never had the privileges that I had had. And some of them could only dream. But each one of them had a dream. And they helped to inspire me that I could do it again. They helped to inspire me that there was real love and true love. Strengthened with that, I was determined that I was going to make something else more, not only for my family, not only for my friends, not only for me, but for those friends as well. So they helped me, and in that help, I managed to start regaining every single little business that I had, everything that made me, because I had other people that now believed in me. Usually, no one would have ever thought that they would be the ones to actually help you back up.
Wow, so wait, let me just get this straight. I don't understand. So you find yourself completely, you know, down and out, and then, you know, you're led to go back to church, I guess, and then through that experience, I guess so while you were not with nothing, you spent 2 years serving in the church, and during that time, you found yourself going to the park and meeting all these different people who had something, really, dreams, and I guess God really, it sounds like God really used them in a way to kind of open up a new mindset to you, or a new way of thinking. That's amazing. Like, I'm just thinking, like, seeing you on the park speaking to you know, the homeless guy next to. So then what happened? So what happened from there? So once you met these homeless people, and actually really your relationship with God, and how did that change? Like, from when, I guess, that period where you were serving, that period, that 2 year period, what was happening there? Like,
when I was serving, I was very fortunate because the bishop that had the church and his wife, the first lady, they trusted me with their whole church.
Wow.
So they allowed me to rebuild myself and put my whole self into assisting and working in the church and managing the church. So whilst I was doing that, I was refinding myself. And the trust and love that they had in me allowed me to be able to regain my self-confidence inside, but by serving, by knowing that if I could do something so good, because remember, it was that recognition that I really wanted. So they were recognizing my hard work, recognizing what I could bring into the church and what I could do. With that, it gave me enough confidence that I was now serving the Lord. But at the same time, I was hearing the scriptures in a new way. I was hearing the scriptures for me, not for my mom, not for my dad, but I was hearing the scriptures for myself. I was being reborn from that total within me, because I was there, I was focused on nothing else. I wasn't focused on my next business deal, I wasn't focused on my next project, I was focused on my relationship with God, and how God loved me, how he loved me, and how I knew how to love him back. So within that time of my rebuilding myself and restructuring myself with a personal relationship with God, it allowed me to have this new person that could come out now and be able to relate to the homeless, the alcoholics, and the mentally challenged, and have them as my friends.
It's amazing. It's almost got to put this humility, really, because you were someone who had a lot before, and I don't know if you can imagine your old self sitting down with the homeless. Could you at the time? Could you, or yes or no?
I always was very fortunate because my parents had that line of enveloping everyone around them.
That's blessed, yeah.
So I was fortunate enough that I had friends that came from different walks of life and associates, but I never had them as close as I had them now.
Friend, yeah. And it's something amazing that you said, and something that really connects with me, because it's what we talk about with Kingdom Wealth is about, you know, the wealth of the kingdom of God, you know, your purpose in God, and, you know, really connecting with God in a deeper way. And when you do that, he unlocks who you really are. He unlocks, you know, your personality, he unlocks your giftings, he unlocks, your treasure, really. And it sounds as if this is exactly what's happened to you. It's just this, like, you weren't really looking for anything particularly apart from just knowing who you were and what God has called you to do, or what God has put inside of you, just to understand, you know, who He wanted you to be as a person, as an individual. And so from there, you know, some more things happened. You know, there's the way you talked about your shop, there's some amazing things that happened there. As God started to unravel some things, you know, in your destiny. Yes. Tell us more about that.
So what then happened is, in the first circumstance, I went and rented a small little space at the back of the barbers on my initial comeback. Yeah. And my children and I used to do dinners and lunches for the offices that were around, and also deliveries for the dinners in the evenings, because that was one of the businesses that we had. It was a catering business. So that was giving us food on the table, clothes on our back, shoes on our feet, and allowed us to be able to buy the first bits to be able to restart on one of the other pampering businesses we had. So I rented a small space in the back of the barbers. We soon had, in a very short space of time, miraculous space of time, had enough money to be able to actually have our own shop. Wow. And this can only be God. It could only be God that could have blessed us in the way that He did. And when He did, we had enough money to pay rental for the shop, the lease for the shop, and buy products, but no furniture. So my friends, my homeless friends, my mentally challenged friends, my alcoholic friends, they're the ones that helped me to pick up the wood from around the streets. Wow. And so we'll go around the streets, we'll pick up wood and make tables. We'll pick up abandoned chairs, abandoned shelvings, and that is how we actually built up the start of the new shop. Wow. And it was just amazing, and it still is amazing. They used to go around and help me to leaflet drop, drag people to the shop and let people know that they were there. Do you know what the most amazing thing is, Bookie? Is that in all that time, most people never knew that they were mentally challenged, or that they had an alcohol or drug dependency. They were the most normal people, just like anybody else is, but all they had was full of love. And remembering that they had a friend that they'd met sitting by the canal or by the park, and they just